No, I mean, half of them are posers. They're the same people who would buy an iPhone without having a clue what it actually does. Or what's new and what's genuinely useful about it, but just because it's a posy factor, you know. And they're the
I
same
actually
people.
found one person who it works perfectly for, and like my sister, like my elder sister, she came to me and she's like, "When are you reviewing this thing? I want to test it out. I might actually spend money."
Hang on, this is a Samsung now.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Z Flip, because she just digs small phones. So she's at this impasse now where she can't buy small phones anymore.
Yeah,
no one makes
yeah, they
small
stopped
phones
that. Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, this is a small phone that can fold open into a big phone when I need it to.
And I don't know, maybe I'm like more effeminate than I thought, but frankly, that's the appeal for me too. It actually goes inside the pocket, you know, and
But that was last week's conversation. This week is the 74th episode of the Overclocked podcast. I am Lindsey Schutters, sharpshooters on the internet, and I'm joined as always by my good friend Gavin Dudley. Gavin, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm
You
good,
are
thanks.
the editor of Tech Magazine, which is
You
South Africa's largest
say it like I need to be reminded.
consumer technology. We need to appease the powers that be,
Yes,
Gavin.
we do. No, and you're very good like that. Yeah, okay. So what am I again?
The editor of the largest consumer technology publication on South African shelves. The ABC figures, Audit Bureau of Circulation figures, came out last week.
Confirms this.
Confirms that by you guys have quite a sizable lead right now.
Oh, yes.
And that's like, what, 90% subscribers?
Yep, 98% of subscribers. In other words, they automatically get that magazine
But that's
every
enough
month.
paying the bills.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the receipts that our good President Cyril Ramaphosa read out last week. So there's been a concern for me post-South State of the Nation address. There were so many editorials that came out, obviously based on the text that they received, because media houses receive the speech written up front, or they get briefed about it beforehand, and then they start pre-writing their story so that they can go live. But I was kind of live, because I always like to live tweet things, like just things that pop out to me. A couple of things that popped out for me. Firstly, 1 megawatt or sub 1 megawatt personal power installation, so like your solar panel or like a wind system that you have at home, will be subject to like no licensing fees, so you can do that for free and for mahala.
So for the record, the majority, when you see a whole lot of panels on someone's roof, it's always under 1 megawatt.
Yeah. And then for that to be able to then sell money back to the power grid, that would be amazing. And then the other thing is, businesses are now allowed to also will be allowed to generate their own electricity at a small licensing fee, and then there's no limitation for above 1 megawatt installations, which is absolutely incredible.
What does that mean? You mean you can produce as many
You
megawatts as you
can
want?
freaking set up a nuclear power station if you really wanted to.
Okay, interesting. Someone's going to try that. Some popular mechanics reader is going to try and build a nuclear reactor in his backyard, take video of it, and send it in.
Yeah, these things are going to happen. But just moving on to the nuclear thing. So there's been a lot of buzz around like, we must just do renewables because renewables is the answer. Where I am very much in favor of renewables. I mean, the wind sector
Nuke those buggers. Oh, sorry. Did I say that?
But when it comes to baseload, you show me a formalized industrial society or nation in the world that is harvesting its power primarily from renewables. Don't worry, I'll wait.
Okay, so what is the German story again? Because I know they've got a very high proportion of renewables and they're highly industrialized.
Yes,
so
but
what's
they
their story?
also, so you need to understand, like their energy needs are also served by a lot of gas, which they're pumping in from Russia.
Russia, yeah.
Never asked them to.
Okay.
to have an opinion on Russia. Because they'll be like, we need that gas.
Funny that.
And then they have actually gone into the coal business again. So they've opened up a lot of like these brown coal, like the worst possible.
Is that right? Because I mean, I don't feel like they'd have a social mandate to do that kind of thing. I mean, I get the feeling
their social
that Germany
mandate
is running pretty clean power. That's the
no,
impression
that's
presented
the impression
anyway.
that they're presenting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put some links down in the podcast description, like just to inform a lot of people about what's going on there.
The thing is, I think we all accept that, we're like, well, I'm not going to say we're an asshole country like that, or a shithole country like that other guy said, but we must accept that we probably can't run a premium clean power setup for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
We're rich in a dirty mineral that makes it cheap
Yeah.
for us to produce power. We've got vast numbers of people without power. We need to produce a lot more power. It's probably pie in the sky to imagine that we're going to produce lots of clean power quickly. So we have to accept that we might not have the cleanest power source at the moment. The problem, I think, is people are concerned that we'll end up with legislation in place that doesn't mitigate against dirty power at all. It allows us to go right on building bad power stations. It allows us to go right on using too much fossil fuel inefficiently, charging too little for it, and so on. I think people are concerned there must be like mitigation factors in place.
But what I think, also other things that jumped out, coding from the foundation phase education.
Yeah, that was the
from, like,
only
grade
thing.
one.
The only thing that jumped out for me was that Cyril's putting some weight behind his fourth industrial revolution aspirations. He announced coding for
in foundation phase,
early school phase.
Yeah. Then there was the smart city, which is pretty amazing.
I mean, because the DAF basically be lambasting him on that. Like, why can't we get our regular cities to work properly and forget these dreams of a smart city? But he actually made good sense when he explained what he was planning. Yeah.
And we flew into Lanseria and out of Lanseria on Thursday, and you did see all of the construction going on, which was quite amazing. But I think it was a good speech. It laid out a lot of like the hard truths that a lot of people don't report on about the achievements that had been made in the last calendar year.
True, it's easy to overlook that stuff,
and
but hell, we got a long way to go.
We look forward to Tito backing up a lot of the future.
Tito's my man. I've said this before. I mean, economics and sound economic strategy, I believe, is the only thing that's going to pull us out of this stuff, man. As distasteful as some of it might seem.
Yeah, we might see a bump in the taxes. The VAT will definitely go up because we need to raise money to pay off all those debts.
Tito sent out a very interesting, controversial tweet along the lines of, how can we tax these strange evangelical churches a little more?
Yeah.
And I was like, not a bad idea, Tito. Anyway,
moving swiftly, Gavin. Google is switching off its Google Stations, the free Wi-Fi program.
Yeah, I mean,
we've only had the benefits of it for like the last 3 months or so.
Yeah, what's it called? Google Station. Google Station. So Google Station is free Wi-Fi set up in underserviced areas, all bankrolled by Google. Facebook has done very similar initiatives all over the world with greater and lesser success. And I think with people like Facebook and Google understand that the future of their business is based on more and more people having access to the internet.
The next billion.
Yeah, so even if they have to bankroll people's access to the internet, they're certainly going to recoup it down the line. Well, this is the thinking. Why they're backing out of this now is very unclear. They say, our business models have changed a bit, but it's only been a few months, so I don't know what could have changed so much in a few months. I think Google sees government initiatives for connectivity and broadband coming down the line and realizes maybe, it's going to end up, I don't know, having to make funny deals it doesn't want to make or something, doesn't want to make this kind of investment at this time. I don't know. It's unclear to me.
They're pulling down on that, and then they're pulling down the electricity generation
stuff.
Those kite things. They're pulling back on that. But then currently Facebook is in a little bit of drama in India. Which a lot of the renewable folk have assured me that they have opened the world's largest solar farm, and it's producing like maybe what my household uses in 2 months. Anyway,
I didn't know they were doing that actually.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Facebook are in some trouble because remember, not too long ago there were a lot of murders happening. There were rumors spreading on WhatsApp in India about people dealing in beef. And then there were these radical groups who were then just publicly executing people for like being unregulated like beef dealers.
Wow, okay, I didn't know anything about this.
Then Modi, the Prime Minister of India,
back to tech eventually.
Was like, hey buddy, hey Mark, let's have those details on these people who have been spreading these rumors. And Mark was like, sorry bud, can't do that. And then they were like, okay, so then on Facebook, you guys need to start playing a lot more ball so that we can stop doing this. And then Mark was like, so there's a very good likelihood that Facebook will be run out of
Yeah, and
India.
it's also the second time it's being run out. The first time was when it tried to launch its free internet initiative,
Exactly.
and only allowed people to access Facebook on the free Wi-Fi.
So I think in the wake of like the EU starting to regulate AI a lot more closely now, Google is well within its rights to start pulling back on its social initiatives.
Okay, I mean, so the free Google Wi-Fi in South Africa called Google Station was being implemented in part by a partner whose name now escapes me. So I think the idea is that Google's going to pull out, but it's going to
think Wi-Fi.
Right. Okay. It's going to hand the reins of the project over to Think Wi-Fi, who's very ambitious and thinks they're going to keep on rolling out all over the country. Blah blah blah. But
yeah,
we'll
they partnered with the Western Cape to roll out the free Wi-Fi around all of the like municipalities and those sort of things. And they're rolling out in the Eastern Cape. And who's their CEO? Quite a dynamic lady, Janine Rebello.
Janine Rebello. Yes, I see that. Yes.
She's quite dynamic. Then just touching briefly in Huawei. I know a lot of you on Huawei devices. Huawei will start selling its high-end smartphones without Google services. Akram Mohammed, the Chief Technology Officer, is quite bullish on the success of this. They're talking about where the app is not listed on their App Store. You will have a secure link to a site where you can sideload it as an APK. I've been actually up. So the way Android works right now is they've split like the kernel, the main Android thing, from what is the apps that work on your phone. So I've actually been updating my LG G7 ThinQ, because we haven't been receiving the updates quick enough in South Africa. So there's like a lot of advances in their camera software, and there's like first-party apps that have been listed on like a site called APK Mirror. So I've been sideloading these things, and the weird thing is you get like this little prompt to update it, and then it takes you back to APK Mirror to go update it from there.
Okay.
Which is a really interesting development. I think they're playing on a lot of those sorts of integrations happening there. I think they've got into deals with APK Mirror to have these sideload things update automatically as well.
An APK file is the app basically.
Application package kit.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So what's going on with Huawei? Again, for those who don't know the background or who've missed out, Huawei itself is not allowed to integrate US software products like Google into its phones. Yeah. However, we as South Africans have no beef. Well, technically we have no beef with America. So we're allowed to have Google services. We're allowed to have Google Play and YouTube and Google Maps, and we're allowed to have all that. Just the Huawei is not technically supposed to install it on the phone for us. So what they've done is they've created a way for us to get those apps. So when you buy the Huawei phone, you're not allowed to run the Google Play Store to easily download the apps, because that would mean a Huawei's installed Google applications on its phone, which it's not allowed to do. So they've created an alternate ecosystem by which you can go and fetch all the Google apps that you need. And Huawei have spent literally billions of dollars making the service work for them, and we will be the direct beneficiaries of this huge investment they've made in better software for their phones. So I think Huawei is in a sense betting the farm here. If this doesn't work, or if you have a bad experience, you won't buy another Huawei phone. They have to back themselves for you to have an excellent user experience to go on supporting Huawei products, and I think they are backing themselves. So we'll see how this goes. There'll probably be a lot more marketing information about it in the future.
And then you listed here a very interesting story about the South African Post Office, which is losing at least 60 million rand a month from distributing the SASSA social grants.
Yeah.
According to the City Press. They're spending most of the money on cash in transit.
I mean, I think they tried to sort out this business model, and their previous CEO, Mark... his name escapes me. I mean, I backed him to sort this out, and eventually he couldn't work with government anymore on the stuff and left. But they really worked hard to put the post office in a position to process the SASSA grants, and so many factors worked against them, and it turns out that just moving the money to the post offices is turning out to be a phenomenally big expense. I don't know how it was handled before, that the previous incumbent didn't incur these expenses, but the post office is incurring so much expense just getting money to the post offices to distribute that it's become unviable for them.
Yeah, I live near a post office that is also next. Like SASSA Day is the worst.
Yeah. Every neighborhood. Yeah. I mean, the post office, of course, is fighting to be relevant in an age of email. But distributing the grants was actually a very good way to do it. It hasn't worked out. Can I make sure we squeeze in this next item?
Yes, please.
Okay. SSD drives, for those who don't know what that is, the old hard drive system that went in your laptop was a whole bunch of copper plates that spun around like records on a player, except at extremely high speeds, and that was your hard drive storage. That was replaced over time by something called SSD, which is basically a bunch of RAM chips all stuffed together into a little box. And there are no moving parts in there, apart from the electrons that move around, like with RAM.
Yeah.
There's no mechanical parts like there is in a hard drive, which is a record player. So it works much faster, it runs much cooler, it uses much less power, and is much more reliable, the SSD drive. And only top-end laptops would get SSD drives because they were expensive to produce, but they've now become so cheap that now the majority of new laptops will have SSD drives in them. In Europe, 93% of new laptops now have SSD drives. My point is that if you're buying a laptop over the next few months, make sure you get an SSD drive. It has many, many, many benefits. And it's the kind of thing that really does matter to your day-to-day performance on your laptop. So get an SSD drive in your laptop. Okay.
Cool. Gavin, Tech Treasure, you know, I know, Takealot are doing the business right now. They are in there. They are selling things at, like, there's a fire sale going on right now. And for me, the pick of the bunch right now, if you are looking for a high-end Windows laptop, is the Asus ZenBook 14, the Core i7, 8 gigs of RAM, which should be fine. I would like a little bit more RAM on this.
ZenBooks are great. Those Asus ZenBooks are great.
Yeah, it's nice. It's minimal. It's a beautiful device, and it has a 512 gigabyte SSD.
Oh, there you go.
It's a 14-inch
there
laptop,
you go.
and that is selling right now for 15,999 rand. So 16,000 rand, down from 20 grand, which it normally retails at. And I think that is an absolute bargain.
Interesting. Okay, here's a slightly exotic item that I've been thinking about for a while.
This does not sound
Okay,
good. Please
check
save
it out. It's a portable monitor. How weird is that? Okay, a portable monitor is pretty much a tablet, actually, but except it's a tablet without any of the processing power and this kind of thing. It's useful for if you want to hook your phone up to a really big screen and work comfortably. So Asus makes a really nice 15-inch portable monitor. It's obviously half the weight of an actual laptop, and it costs 2,000 rand, which is the price of what you'd pay for a very nice monitor, you know, to go on your desktop at work. 2,000 rand for the Asus MB168B 15-inch portable monitor. You want to hook your phone up to that so you can work in comfort. We've discussed this before, using things like Samsung DeX and Huawei's equivalent product and so on. So get a portable monitor for 2,000 rand, the Asus MB168B.
Awesome. So Gavin, you have a little bit of a note. You're talking about Google Play Music.
Yes. Now I know I've slowly got my head around it, by the way. I was totally in the dark about Google Play Music, and you kept going on about it until eventually I got into it.
It's very good. It comes preloaded on all Android devices.
I think you must break it down for people, because it took me a while to figure out what it was.
So it's that little triangle with that little orange triangle with the music note in it, in like a yellow circle. It's called Play Music, and it's Google's original music streaming service.
Okay, no. Okay. Let me not confuse the issue. What was confusing me was the YouTube music system.
Okay.
Which you get with the YouTube Premium.
Yes.
Which turns out, I assumed it was all video-based music, but
No.
it turns out there's also just regular
Yes, so
streaming music.
they take all the music content and then they add to it like a streaming library as well.
Yes.
So you get video and you get music, and it's very confusing. And it's actually become a bone of contention because Google is killing off Google Play Music and replacing it entirely with YouTube Music. But the ability to stream only audio YouTube music on the Google Home speaker in South Africa is not available yet. So when I switch my streaming service provider to YouTube Music on the Home app, my Google Home tells me, you need a Chromecast and a TV to play this. And it's like, really, guy, this is not what I wanted. Please Google, if you are listening, I know you listen to everything we say about you.
You're listening to us right now.
Please don't kill Google Play Music. I really like it.
Oh, yeah, but the problem is, okay, so here's what actually confused me was YouTube Music.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lindsey persuaded me to subscribe to YouTube Premium. It was a good move actually. It takes all the ads out of YouTube, and for like $110 or something like that, I've got 5 people. That's my whole family, all now using YouTube with no ads.
Yeah.
That alone was probably worth it for $110 a month.
And you get access to all that premium content.
Well, okay,
First
but
party
so one of the things that kept trumpeting was that you get access to YouTube Music, and I was like, I don't need this. I got Spotify, but Lindsey would go on about it all the time. So eventually, I got round to poking around inside YouTube Music, and it basically is just a music service.
Yes.
There's a little bit more video content than you'd expect, because it's obviously a YouTube service, but it's got all the same other music services. So, at the startup, I went through a long list of ticking the kind of artists I was interested in so it could profile me. And I haven't got around to using it properly yet, but basically it's Spotify done by YouTube.
Yeah,
So,
it's actually quite nice. I just wish that they would work with their app permissions a little bit better.
yes, but the point is that you could get YouTube Premium, which means get the ad-free YouTube, and you'd get this whole streaming music service thrown in for free. So what a bonus. I haven't discovered its limitations yet, so we'll see.
But right now, I mean, while it's still available, with the YouTube Premium account, you get Google Play Music thrown in for free, but only for the main user.
So Google Play Music is the original Google streaming service, direct equivalent
So
to Spotify.
they're porting a lot of the functionality. So the nice thing about Google Play Music is you could upload like your own music that isn't on the streaming service to like a Play Vault, and then you'd be able to stream that to any device anywhere in the world, as long as you have an active subscription, which is great. That's neither here nor there at the moment. Like I'm astounded that there are so many people who don't have streaming services. I'm sure all of our listeners are active subscribers.
We need to address this. It's not
like
good.
I've said before, I believe that access to the world's music repository is a human right.
I mean, for 60, 70 Rand a month on Spotify, I mean, I don't know. I think the Apple equivalent's the same.
It's $50 for a single license.
If you consider for 110 Rand, you get the ad-free Google plus a few extras
and
plus
an
the
entire
streaming music service. That's for 6 people. 6 people, 110 Rand. I mean, come on, it's like unbeatable.
And then just in closing, Gavin, so I've been playing around with the Nokia 9 PureView, which is largely a lovely phone. A little bit slow here and there. Like that camera is absolutely amazing.
I'm impressed that you're impressed.
But the processing is the only crutch. It just takes forever to process an image.
You mean general processing? Image processing.
Yeah, image processing.
Okay.
Because it's firing off like what's that? 5 cameras every single time it takes. So it's amazing. But the the fingerprint sensor, the optical fingerprint sensor, is so trash.
No. I've stopped using fingerprint. I don't use any authentication on my phones at all anymore. That bad.
I had my SIM card in there for about 2 hours, and then I realized that to access my banking app in any convenient means, I actually rely a lot on a fingerprint sensor or biometrics, and I cannot do it on that phone. So I took my SIM card out. I just admitted defeat, and I'm like,
is that on screen or on the back?
It's on screen.
I can't even remember. It's on screen.
Optical
it was one of the first.
Really
it was
bad
one of the first on screen.
I've like enrolled. I'm one with fingerprint sensors. I've been using technology since
and he
it
succeeds
started.
where I fail all the time. Yeah.
But I've enrolled my fingers so many times in different types of fingers and in different orientations, and I've done all of my tricks, and without fail, it works like the first 2 times, and then it just does not work at all after that.
It was one of the first under-screen fingerprint sensors, so it doesn't surprise me that it's bad. I mean, it was one of the first.
Trash,
man.
Okay. Otherwise, it's a lovely phone. The stock Android experience is limited. I do enjoy a lot of the enhancements that Samsung brings. I actually made a post yesterday where it was like, what I want in a phone is the audio experience, so the quad DAC and the boombox speaker from the LG G7 ThinQ. Then I want the camera system from the Nokia 9 PureView and the rear firing mic, which at least Samsung has addressed now with the S20s. They put a microphone at the back pointing in the right direction.
And then you want the processing
and
power.
then I want like the software and the processing power
Samsung.
of like the S20 plus the battery life of the battery life and the Face ID from the iPhone 11 Pro Max. But what the phone manufacturers actually think I want is a S10e that folds in half.
Oh, right. Okay.
And on that note, Gavin, I'm done. What's happening in your life?
let's see what's going on. Not much. Again, we're preparing for Comic-Con. I've mentioned this before. We are interviewing a very interesting South African entrepreneur. He's a total geek, and, well, Lindsey's actually interviewing him. He's developed a 12.1 surround sound digital processing system for sound and atmospheric sound and interactive sound, and so on. We're interviewing him in the next magazine. We also have a complete write-up of both new consoles, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, in the upcoming issue of the magazine. My editor's letter predicts